Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This video is a little bit late, but it is going to be about the auction, and sorry I couldn't get this out the day the auction came out. I will do that for next week of the auction. This stage still has a couple days left though, and there's still a lot of tanks to go over, so I'm still going to make a video about it here, what I think the best tanks here, the best deals are for this week of the auction. So we're going to start off with the first one, and we're just going to go down the list of what I think is worth it or not, or you know, if you should wait and all that good stuff. So first up we have the M41D, 3,658 vehicles left. This is currently at 3,500 gold. Now this is a really good tank, really good tier 7 light tank, and 3,500 gold is a really good deal for it. But there is a ton of these vehicles left, and there is still, I think, 3 days in the auction. This one I would let you drop. I would let it drop as low as you can. Keep checking in on it because the vehicles could start going quicker, you know, much faster, and it could actually run out quick. You never know. That goes for every tank in here. Just make sure you check back very often to make sure there hasn't been a bunch of people buying it, and you're actually not going to be able to let the price drop more, and you're going to have to buy it now. Keep that in mind. But I would say this tank will probably drop down to like, I think maybe even 2,500 gold, which is a really good deal. I mean, most of these tanks I think can drop 2 more times, these early tanks on here. So, I mean, the M41 will be a great deal at 3,000 or 2,500, but I would just wait a little bit and let the price drop some more. All right, next up, the T26E5. This has 3,625 vehicles left. Tier 8 heavy tank, 4,500 gold, not bad at all. This one, again, let it drop down to 4,000, 3,500, and you're going to have an amazing deal for that tank. That would be a really good deal. Yeah, so let those two drop down some more. But next up now, we have the IS-3 Defender. Now, this has 3,600 tanks left, 6,500 gold. Not really worth it. I mean, just because the tank isn't that good. I mean, maybe if you let it drop down to 5,500, I don't know if it has the opportunity to go down to 5,000 or not. Maybe at 5,500. Honestly, though, there's really no reason to own this tank, in my opinion. It's just, there's no reason to have it. So I would probably just, you know, spend your money on better tanks than the IS-3 Defender. But if you really want the tank, it will drop down pretty cheap. Object 252U, 6,500 gold as well, 3,200 of these left. This tank, pretty much everyone has it already, so if you don't, this will get to a pretty dang good price. 5,500 gold for an Object 252U is probably what it will drop down to, and I would think that's a pretty killer deal right there for an Object 252U. This tank normally sells like 8,000 gold, and that's when people consider that a really good deal. So, you know, 6,000 less, that's a great deal. Next up, we have the SU-130PM. 6,500 gold as well. A little bit less on this one, though, 2,746. This probably will, well, it will probably drop down one more, maybe 5,500, but that's really pushing it. So I would keep an eye on this one especially. You can probably let it drop down to 6,000, and then that's really not a bad deal for an SU-130PM. I would think 6,000 gold is a pretty good deal for that, so if you want that tank, it's probably a good point to pick it up, but keep an eye on it to see if you're going to have the opportunity to let it drop to 55 or not. Alright, next up we have the Kunze Panzer. 2,500 of these vehicles left, so this one's already at 3,000. So this one will probably drop down to 2,500 at least, and there would be a great tank to pick up. For 2,500 gold, that's just so cheap. For a Tier 7 light tank premium, great cheap price to pick that up at. Next up we have the Defender Mark 1. This is a really good tank, 2,500 basically as well. Let this drop down to 6,000 or lower, and you probably have a really good deal here. For, I mean, this late in the auction, pretty much everything is really cheap and a great deal, just so you all know. This late in the auction, it's all pretty good. Next up, though, we have the Chimera, which 1,700 currently left. 8,000 gold, honestly, that's pretty steep. Compared to something like a Defender Mark 1, 1,500 gold more expensive. I'm not sure why it's priced so expensive. It is a great tank, don't get me wrong, but it just seems a little expensive still to me. So, I mean, it'll probably drop down at least to 7,500. But I don't really know if it will drop down to 6,500 or not. And so this one, I would probably just save your money for other tanks. But if you want the Chimera, this probably will be one of your cheapest opportunities to get it still. So 7,500 or 7,000 still isn't a bad deal. And this is the last one up here. We have the Gravedigger, 6,000 gold. Now, this one, again, there's still 1,600 vehicles left. I don't know how fast these vehicles are going. Keep an eye on them, check back in, but you could probably let this drop down to 5,000, and I think that's a pretty good deal. Gravedigger's a fun tank. It's, you know, it's not insane or anything, but it's really fun, and you can kind of meme around in it, and it's a pretty solid tank at Tier 7 anyway. So that's all the vehicles currently left in the auction. Again, I will make a video sooner for the next week of the auction. It will be probably the day the auction comes out. So, you know, stay tuned for that video. Sorry this one wasn't out the day of the auction with the other tanks in there. But like the Dracula was a horrible price. I can't get over how bad. 15,000 gold for a Dracula. Just no. Guys, the Dracula is not that good. I mean, it's an okay tank, but it's like not that OP. 15,000 gold, it's more than something like a Chimera. Like, why? It just isn't that valuable. Anyway, not here to talk about a tank that's not in the auction anymore. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the auction down below, this year's auction, and how it is performing. And yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.